Thanks, Speaker. It was around July 11th or 12th of this year it became known the illegal burger shack on MTO property outside Caledonia was operating without approvals from the health unit and was apparently operating without zoning and fire code and building code approvals from Haldeman County. It's been in the court most recently last Thursday. My first question is who asked for the contempt of court charge to be dropped against the Minister of Infrastructure? How did that happen? The Ontario government has been involved with the illegal use of this provincial MTO property for a number of years now because of the illegal smoke shop. For example, attempts to construct a second entrance directly to Provincial Highway 6. And my question, has the Ontario government granted any approvals to these two illegal businesses, or does silence or turning a blind eye mean consent? Question, when will you dismantle and remove these two illegal structures? They shouldn't even be there. Another question, has there been federal government involvement? We know the federal government's indicated on a number of occasions there's no valid land claim on any of the property adjacent to Highway 6. Does the provincial government not agree with that statement, nor with similar findings in the courts? Why are there different sets of rules for the owners and operators of the smoke shack and the burger shack compared to other businesses in town, businesses that have to compete with these tax-free enterprises? Do the rules vary depending on whether such businesses are on provincial land compared to private land compared to reserved land? Or do all the rules apply but they're not enforced because of perhaps intimidation or edicts from on high or discretion of the officers? Now, I know there may not be time to answer all of these questions, so I formally request some written responses. People do ask me, who gives the right for activists on MTO property to breach the law, including these public health codes and tobacco legislation? It's bad for business, Speaker. It's bad for tourism. This whole mess is right at the southern entrance to town. It's bad for the credibility of government at the municipal, provincial, and the federal level. Why the abdication of responsibility? Now, going back to July 12th, the Haldeman Norfolk Health Unit inspectors, accompanied by OPP, served the closure order on this burger shack. Haldeman County Public Works staff assisted in installing a sign at the driveway. After they left, the sign was removed by the occupiers. When nothing changed, medical officer of health sought and was successful in receiving a cease and desist order July 22nd. That order also names Minister of Infrastructure, who I note did not step aside while this matter was before the court. Need I remind anyone here of the standards for food handling? We know of the church groups, the new regulations that meant they could no longer bake pies at home, kitchens that weren't inspected. Also, there was no hesitation in shutting down food booths at the CNE. Why is Haldeman County any different? Last Thursday, the matter went before a judge in Brantford. The contempt of court charge against the Minister of Infrastructure was put aside. The minister was also removed from the injunction. Again, who asked that the contempt charge be dropped? People are asking me, why was the minister removed from the injunction? This doesn't mean the government is off the hook. Last Thursday, the government of Ontario was added to the list of respondents in this case, and it could be back before court if the owner does not make improvements. Again, should the government not be responsible? Why is the government not responsible for what occurs on its own property? If I had more time, I would talk a bit more about smoke shacks and so many other perceived injustices. The bottom line, Speaker, people wonder why it has come to this. A number of illegal shacks, a burnout tractor trailer, dismantled power towers, public health rules, zoning, building permits, the issues at present. The bottom line, these buildings should never have been built. The question is, when will this government remove them?
Thank you. Minister for Aboriginal Affairs has 5 minutes.
Thank you, Speaker. Well, Speaker, I note this is a late show, and the reason given is because the member opposite was dissatisfied with my answer to his question posed last Thursday. I have to say, after I received the notice that he was dissatisfied, I went and made arrangements to watch the exchange again, his question and my answer, and I have to say I was perfectly satisfied with the answer. But anyway, be that as it may, let me say to the member again, as I did it last Thursday, the issue of the unlicensed food stand is currently before the courts. It was before the court last Thursday, the Superior Court in Brantford. I can tell you that at the end of the day, I found out that what happened on Thursday in the court proceedings is that there was an indication from the parties to the presiding judge that they were making some progress in trying to resolve the issue. Accordingly, the judge, rightly so, adjourned the matter to a later date sometime at the end of this month, the end of October. So I'm not going to comment on that case. It is still before the courts. I would, however, like to correct the record and make it quite clear that there is no contempt order being sought against the Minister of Infrastructure. I can tell you that on September 27th, 2013, on the consent of all the parties, the court set aside the Superior Court injunction against the minister. And I want to stress the consent of all of the parties to that proceedings. Let me just say, without commenting on the case in any way before the court, just give you some other information on things that are happening over at the Six Nations with regard to various issues over there. It's clear that these issues and a host of other issues that the member has referenced run much deeper, and many of them are beyond Ontario's power to address alone. Participation from the federal government is required in order to resolve a number of these issues underlining the Six Nations claims. Negotiations at the main table have been on pause since October 2009. However, our government remains hopeful that Canada will return to the negotiating table. It's the federal government that's been absent from the negotiations. The claims brought forward by the Six Nations can be resolved in a way that benefits the members of all communities involved if we can get all levels of government back at the table. In the meantime, Ontario continues to work with Six Nations, the surrounding municipalities, Brantford and others, Haldimand, and the development community to find some practical ways of moving forward with the unresolved claims by Six Nations. This includes strengthening working relationships and fostering community reconciliation. In the midst of this, it's important that we do not lose sight of the significant progress Ontario is making in its relationship with First Nations. We are acting upon the recommendations of the Epperwash inquiry and the policies and programs that we are developing. We are continuing to resolve claims by First Nations across this province. We are fostering community reconciliation. We are investing in people and in infrastructure, whether it's building consultation capacity through our new relationship fund or supporting community and business center development through our Aboriginal Community Capital Grants program. We are investing in the health care and education and other vital social programs. And we are taking a stand on social issues that are of critical importance to the Aboriginal communities. In conclusion, our government is committed to working with First Nation partners in all levels of government to overcome challenges and find new opportunities. We've created jobs, improved educational outcomes, and promoted economic sustainability for First Nations. Our commitment to improving the quality of life of First Nations communities in Ontario is thankless. I just want to circle back now to my first comment. The technical answer, the proper answer to the member's question is that the question that he asked about, was dealing with matters that are before the Superior Court They were before the Superior Court last Thursday. The matter's been adjourned. It's coming up in late October. It's still before the courts, and I'm not prepared to comment on that particular proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you. This House stands adjourned.